Villahermosa is one of the richer areas, so usually the missionaries have pretty nice houses, generally speaking. There's some houses that are nicer than others, but you usually get a pretty nice house. Um, Crime, I mean, Mexico is Mexico. There's, I'd consider Villahermosa and southern Mexico a lot calmer than especially northern Mexico, Tijuana and Ciudad de Juarez and all that stuff. But I found, that as long as there are certain places that they tell you not to go. There are certain places that, you really just have to go only during the daytime. And if you're just smart and make sure to never carry money, and usually people that like the Mexican people, they're really used to seeing missionaries when they realize that you don't really carry money. And so I never actually got robbed my whole time there. I saw, a couple people get beat up in the streets and, stuff like that. But on the whole, as long as you are in the right places and you're not trying to take risks and be outside when you're not supposed to be there, then you really won't have a problem. I mean, there's some missionaries that had different experiences, but for me personally, if you just, do what you should and stay in those good areas, then you'll be fine. The housing, the biggest thing is that none of the houses really have air conditioning. And a lot of them don't have hot water because usually you don't need it. It's so hot. But so that it was an adjustment, and it's all tile floors. There's no place that has carpet. And so that was a big, adjustment for me. So pretty much everywhere it's cement floors. They'll have tile on some of the floors as well. But even the members too, no one really has carpet. The houses as a whole, they're pretty good size where the missionaries stay. Some, like I said, they vary so different. Like so many are so different. But I just think go into it realizing that, it's not going to be a 5-star hotel. It's going to be, some places are going to be harder than others. I remember my first area, we walked in and we slept on mattresses on the floor. And then one of my last areas, I actually slept in hammocks. We had beds, but the hammocks are way cooler. Not only like they're awesome, but they're just way cool. You're not hot. So you might be sleeping on some hammocks, and that's awesome. Villahermosa is, it's huge. It's really a good-sized city. There's a lot of activity. There's people traveling all over the place. There's near the stake center where the mission office is, there's this place called the Circuito, like Atletico, and it's just like this giant sports area. And so, there's always fun places to go visit. There's, there's different things like I've loved that when I was there. I think, a lot of the missionaries at one point they'll go either to Villahermosa or there's a different stake called Gaviotas, which is, pretty much a connection of Villahermosa. And the thing is you'll find there is, the food is amazing there. I loved the food. I mean, all of them are different, but they're all very similar. I remember there was this place that we'd go every single, chance I got. It was a little taco place, and that's what's so neat about Mexico, is there's little stores and there's little restaurants all over the place. Like people just do it out of their backyard or their front yard or whatever. And you'll walk by and it's super cheap. And so I remember there's a place that would give us tacos. There was like 10 tacos for like 30 pesos, which, is so cheap. And we'd always walk by and they're like, the missionaries, do you guys want some? And they weren't even members, but we just were like their favorite customers. We'd go there all the time. And you'll find that Villahermosa is very humid. It's one of the hottest areas in the mission. And so when you're there in the summer, you kind of get used to, I remember you'd shower, you'd dry off, and then you'd be sweating again. It was so humid. But, that being said, it's super pretty. There's a zoo there, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, that we went and visited, and we did that as a mission. Like all of the stakes around there, we went and visited it. And it's this really neat zoo, and it was really cool, and there was this giant head that they have there. And you can go take pictures next to it, and it's really cool. And I think with comparing it in Villahermosa to other places, it is the most like a city. So, there's like different movie theaters. There's all this stuff they have there. So it's more modern. And comparing it to other places, you'll find that a lot of areas away from Villahermosa or away from Ciudad del Carmen are not like that. They're more small town. They're, the population of, couple thousand, 5,000, is all. And so, Villahermosa is like probably one of the most busiest places. Not necessarily like there has the most missionary work, because you'll find that some of the smaller towns actually have more people to visit because they're more humble and more open. And Villahermosa, some people can be a little bit hard because they work a lot. You'll find that the dad in the family usually works pretty much all day, and so it's usually just the mom at home. So it can be hard to find, a whole family together to teach. But all the areas are different. But the thing that you will find is that every area is so beautiful with the trees, the plant life, the animals. But, for me personally, I was glad that I was able to go to different areas too. Because the city life, after a while, missionaries do like more of like the laid back kind of small town aspect. But, it has its trade-offs, because it has modern comforts that you like. So there's like this lighthouse that you can go visit near the zoo. There's not too far from there, there's different ruins that are in Cardenas. And actually they're more up just north of Cardenas. And there's these ruins that you can go to. They're old. I don't remember which tribe they come from, but really neat ruins. And then not too far away, it's in Campeche. There's Palenque, which is pretty much every missionary gets together once or twice. And those are amazing. You'll hear missionary, like some of the members there. There's a watchtower there, and some of the members, especially like the older members, they'll say, "Oh, that's where King Benjamin gave his speech." And so there's like a lot of rumors that the Book of Mormon, a lot of the stories happen down there. They'll talk about it all the time, like, "Oh, the Book of Mormon, a lot of the stories happen here," And so, but Palenque especially, that's probably like the coolest spot in our mission is in Villahermosa. But it's probably, I think 3 to 4 hours away from Villahermosa, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not too bad. But there's ruins that they look like they haven't been touched since the people were there before. It's really amazing. With Villahermosa as a whole, the people there are generally very awesome people. They're very nice. And so just go into it, try to learn the culture, try to joke around with them, and just realize that they're not perfect. They have their things that they struggle with. Alcohol is one, and different things like that. But if you go with an attitude just to love the people, then they will always treat you so well, and they're very open to helping out the missionaries. So I loved Villahermosa. It was great.